Coming up, an Amtrak train derails in Missouri, killing at least 3 people.
We've got another pretty nice day ahead of us, but there is a warm-up and some rain on the way. The latest just ahead in the Skywatch weather center.
Also, McDonald County Middle Schoolers use podcasting to try to bring awareness to a bird whose population is declining.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Morning news, it's 5 a.m. I'm Jalen Banks. We'll have those stories and more, but first let's go over to Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center.
It is a good morning, isn't it, for being 5 a.m.? So I was telling them I set an alarm for 2:30 this morning because I wanted to have time to have more coffee. I wanted coffee at home, coffee to come with me. Well, I left my phone at my desk at home, and I woke up at about 3:30 and said, oh my goodness gracious. So yeah, good morning. I'm just now getting the coffee, so if I'm a little slower than usual, that's I haven't finished even my first coffee yet, so I may just drop right off here.
Well, at least you look sharp, Chris.
I appreciate that. I mean, I can make up for it some way, somehow, I suppose. So another way I can make up for it, though, is with the weather. So here, you see all this green on the radar? A lot of that's not actually really hitting the ground right now, except for some of those in northeast Oklahoma. You see those darker greens, they're seeing some of that rain. You can see across the lower 48, relatively clear. Pretty clear, it's 7th and range line. You can't tell because the sun's not out yet, but don't worry, it will come out. It is 64 right now in Joplin. It's not looking too bad. We are on our way for a pretty nice day. We got mid to lower upper 60s. We just got 60s across the board. As the kids head out the door, we're going to be sitting at about 64 degrees as they get a... You know, it just occurred to me, there's a reason that this box was unchecked. If they have summer school and they're getting on the bus, it's going to be 64. And if they have summer school and they're coming home, it's going to be 77. There's a reason this box was on. This is what a lack of coffee does. There's really not any school going on right now. Anyway, it's going to be a nice day. We'll break down the full forecast a little bit later, and I'll get rid of the bus.
There are kids in summer school.
There is. So see, I guess this does still apply. If you've got kids in summer school, that's what it's going to be like as they get on the bus. And it's going to be pretty decent, though, when they get off the bus if they're in summer school. So.
All right, well, I'm sure everybody appreciates it. Thank you, Chris. Authorities say that at least 3 people are dead after a train derailment in rural Missouri. Several cars on this Amtrak train flipped on their side after the train collided with a dump truck at a public crossing in Menden, about 100 miles northeast of Kansas City. Authorities say at least 50 people are hurt, and an estimated 243 passengers were on board the train traveling from Los Angeles to Chicago. Authorities were on the scene, and Amtrak says it also has deployed resources. Missouri Governor Mike Parson has signed a bill that will exempt FIFA World Cup tickets from sales tax when the games are played in Kansas City in 2026. Last week's announcement that Kansas City would host some games for the World Cup was met in cheers in the city. FIFA officials required tax breaks from cities hoping to host the games. Democratic State Senator John Rizzo from the Kansas City region said estimates are the games could bring more than $600 million in revenue to the state. It looks like some of us will pay more for natural gas this time of year. The Missouri Public Service Commission has approved an agreement and rate case filed by the Empire District Liberty Utilities Company. It means the average residential customer will pay about $1.50 more per month for natural gas. Liberty provides natural gas to 44,000 customers in 19 Missouri counties, including Vernon County. A new study shows gun deaths in Oklahoma have increased since a permitless carry law went into effect. The 2019 law allows people over the age of 21 to carry a gun without a permit or training. The newspaper The Oklahoman analyzed state medical examiner data and found the state recorded some of its deadliest months in history since the law took effect. In the decade before permitless carry, only 10 months had 70 or more firearm deaths. From November to 2019 until January, there were 10 months with more than 70 gun-related deaths. 6 Oklahomans have filed 2 federal lawsuits that challenge a state law intended to crack down on protesters. They also allege their civil rights were violated when they were arrested in Oklahoma City in 2020. The six say the anti-protest law is unconstitutionally broad and vague. The law passed in 2021 increases penalties for blocking roadways and grants immunity to motorists who kill or injure rioters. The second lawsuit alleges the constitutional rights of five of the six plaintiffs were violated when they were charged with inciting a riot following a confrontation with police. Oklahoma primaries are today. Party nominations will be decided for governor, a U.S. Senate, a state representative seat, state treasurer, and locally, the district attorney for Ottawa County. Some McDonald County middle schoolers are reaching out with podcasts to teach four-staters about the environment and to help some of the area's bird population. They're doing a podcast and talking with scientists at KNEL Radio, studying whippoorwills. The population of the bird species is declining in the area, and the students themselves are learning in the process.
I love watching them grow and develop from doing something that is pretty hard for them, but they rise to the challenge, and I think they're gonna knock it out of the park today.
The program is called SOAP, a combination of the word success and hope. The U.S. Supreme Court's historic decision to strike down its nearly 50-year-old precedent on abortion rights shifts the debate from Washington, D.C. to the states, and state leaders are staking out their positions. It's an immediate issue for the people of Kansas, who will vote on August 2nd on whether to authorize state lawmakers to adopt tighter restrictions on abortions. On Monday, KOAM talked with Kansas Attorney General Derek Schmidt, who voiced his support for the Supreme Court ruling.
So I think the court did the right thing. It's going to invite some difficult discussions in Kansas and around the country, but the decisions now have been returned to the people, and Americans have shown time and again we're capable of arguing and debating and discussing among ourselves until we come to the right answer and the right balance. I think we'll do that here too.
Trigger laws banning most abortions are already in effect in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas.
We're starting the day off pretty nice out there. It is 64 in Joplin. We're hovering around the mid-60s for everybody. As we progress through the day, we're going to warm back up. This is going to be the last day where we don't see things get too out of hand. In fact, if I can scroll through this little magic box here, yeah, we're gonna be hovering right around 81 degrees, 69 by 8 p.m. We're gonna cool off just a bit again tonight, not as much as last night, but we're gonna be dipping into the upper 60s as we head into the overnight hours. We're gonna stay clear. 7-day forecast shows that warming trend returns, and we'll talk about some rain chances this upcoming weekend too.
All right, thank you, Chris. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up this KOAM Morning News, a couple of sisters put on a yard sale to help out their big brother. Plus, everything is on the rise due to inflation, from gas to groceries. However, that isn't the only thing that's risen too. Rent as well. We'll see how the rising rent prices are affecting one family in Chicago, and why men should get checked for a gene that could lead to cancer. You're watching the KOAM Morning News with more real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Talk about sibling love. Two young Minnesota girls are selling things precious to them to help send their older brother to college. Chris Cruz has the details of this heartwarming story.
Hi, welcome.
Under the blue tent off 36th Avenue in Robbinsdale are two young ladies on a mission.
Our brother, he needs to go to college down in Louisiana, and it's really expensive. It's more expensive than you would think.
Stephanie and Deja Lewis gave up all that's important to them.
Then come over here, we got movies. We got the new ones, Free Guy, Turning Red, Big Hero 6, Wrong Gone Wrong.
To sell, so they can raise money to help send big brother Ty to college.
I know what we can do. We can have a garage sale, and then she's like, well, we can do a lemonade stand too. So now we're just doing both to earn some extra money to kind of get him there.
We just took everything. We were like, he has to go to college, we got to do it.
Ty graduated from Robbinsdale Cooper High School and has been accepted to study computer science at Xavier University in Louisiana.
It was the best option I had. It's one of the best HBCUs out there, so I decided to go there.
His biggest concern, paying for it all. He's grateful for help from his little sisters.
It's a good feeling to know that they care. I mean, that's like the main thing.
People stopping by happy to support the cause.
I'm really proud. He graduated high school, he got through all his grades. I know I have to help my brother so he can go to college and he can live his dream as he wants to.
No one is more proud of what's going on than Mom and Grandma.
Kids, go back and forth, and argue and mess with each other, but they always have looked up to, their older brother. And so they've always just been really sweet girls that always, wanted to help.
Proving the bond between brothers and sisters is strong.
Still to come, South African police investigate mysterious deaths at a nightclub. Plus, we're going to take a look at that 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. It's more real news in the morning. We've got a few showers out there for some of you in northeastern Oklahoma and to western parts of our viewing area. Most of what's on that radar has not been hitting the ground. Taking a wider view on Skywatch Storm Tracker, as you can see, most of the lower 48 is pretty dry. We've got some showers, maybe some thunderstorms in Texas, up in Minnesota, but nothing getting out of hand. The current conditions, it's the sun. There was some dark color back here. If I can see, look, there's just a little bit of light coming through, getting ready to come through. It's 64 right now. The wind is calm. It feels like 64. Dew point and humidity both sitting at a pretty decent level. We're sitting around the mid 60s for everybody across the 4 states as we start this Tuesday morning. As we head through the day, we're going to head for a high of about 81. We're going to have pretty clear skies, cooling off to 69 by 8 o'clock as we go into the overnight hours. We're going to cool down again, but we're not cooling down nearly as much as we did yesterday. We're still going to get into the mid to lower 60s rather, but it's not going to be as cold because some of us were starting off in the upper 50s this morning. So as we go through the day into Wednesday, Thursday, we told you there's going to be temperatures increasing. It's going to start to warm up, and this is exactly what we're talking about. Jet stream is going to change course. We're going to start to get a ridge. It's going to bring in some Gulf moisture, which is going to give us some chances for some showers and maybe a thunderstorm or two as we head into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and possibly even into the 4th of July holiday. But as you can see, we may get some decent rain, but we're not expecting a widespread event. And right now, we're not necessarily expecting a bunch of severe weather. But what we are expecting, as you see those darker reds, is the temperatures to start to increase. So again, we're going to be pretty decent today. We really start to warm up as we head into the weekend. Rain chances rather increase as we head into the weekend as well. But summer making a return. And on the Monday, on the 4th of July, because I know everybody, this is their biggest thing that they want to know about, we do have some rain chances, but from what I've seen so far, it looks like the rain is going to be in the early afternoon, maybe up to 5 o'clock, and then it should clear out. So hopefully 4th of July itself will go off without a hitch. Well, sky-high mortgage rates and home prices are putting home ownership out of reach for many. For others, rent increases are putting affordable housing out of reach. Inflation is only adding to the problem. Gas, food, and other basic necessities keep getting more expensive. Omar Jimenez reports on how Americans are struggling to balance it all while trying to pay rent.
Is your room clean?
For millions of Americans, paying rent means a balancing act.
Yeah, I pay it every month. I don't pay it on time. I pay it when I get it.
Erlene Braggs and her 2 kids have been in this Chicago apartment for a little more than 3 years. She says she's making more money than she ever has, but it doesn't feel like it.
It basically seems like those little stimulus checks that they gave us, they basically collecting it all back. Sometimes I have to not do one thing or not pay something in the full amount just to make sure something else is covered and then catch back up on that the next round.
She's not alone either. Across the United States, inflation is at its highest levels in 4 decades as rents have hit record highs this year, and mortgages have seen week-to-week increases not seen since the 80s. According to a new report from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, more than 10 million renters say they're not caught up on rent as of March, the highest proportion in Black communities, where it's over 1 in 5 renters. Down from peak pandemic levels, but still higher than all other racial demographics, and as federal rental aid stemming from the pandemic begins to run out, it could get worse.
I don't even know how people are surviving in some situations. The inflation has constantly been going up. That hasn't stopped. And this year we've seen it really hit the sky, but wages have not went up with those.
Which means it's not just rent. Marielle Vaughn took public transport almost 15 miles just to get free food.
It's crazy because everything is up high. You got to make a decision whether or not you're going to pay your rent or go buy some food.
Rents rising, plus added costs from inflation, for many, have disrupted what were hard-earned solutions from a pandemic.
Seeing the impact that has had on people who we have helped stabilize, it has been a challenge to have to shift that again, right? Your food cost is up, how do we rebudget that? That has been the biggest challenge, in addition to the volume, the increase in volume we've seen in the last 2 weeks.
This is my room.
For many families, the challenge comes from keeping up.
I want to cry. To fill my tank up is $80. When I first bought my truck, a fill up was $43. Everything is going straight to bills, and like everything is a bills. I mean, I just feel like I be robbing Peter to pay Paul, you know.
And for Braggs, making ends meet is as much about her audience as it is a payment on the first of the month.
Just striving day to day to make sure that they fine, let them see how hard they mind work, so that they can know that when they get older, you know that, hey, this wasn't no joke. My mom did this all by herself, because it's just me and them.
Omar Jimenez, CNN, Chicago.
That brings us to our something to talk about this morning. Has your rent gone up? Vote yes or no, of course. We want to hear from you. So you can vote at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We also have it on the app. You can scan the QR code that you see there on your TV and download the app straight away or find it in the App Store. And of course, we'd like you to take part in the discussion. You can do that on Facebook at facebook.com/KOAM Fox 14. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the CDC is investigating dozens of suspected cases of monkeypox across the country. The CDC says it has received reports of 244 probable confirmed cases of monkeypox as of Monday. The cases were reported in 26 states and Washington, D.C. California has the highest number of suspected cases at 62, with New York coming at a distant second with its 37 reported cases. Out of all the reports, the CDC says only 2 of the cases were non-U.S. residents. These numbers pale in comparison to the rest of the world, where according to the CDC, health officials have reported more than 4,300 confirmed cases in 48 countries. CVS and Rite Aid have started limiting purchases of emergency contraception. The companies say customers can only buy 3 pills of Plan B. CVS says it has enough supply, but there has been an increase in demand since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade last week. The Food and Drug Administration Advisory Committee is set to meet Tuesday to discuss possible strain-specific COVID-19 vaccines. The current vaccines are based on the virus that emerged in late 2019, but experts are looking at whether one should specifically target the Omicron variant. The FDA has called this a transition year that could change how we view the COVID-19 vaccine. Health officials anticipate coronavirus vaccines will need to be administered annually, similar to the flu shot. It's a genetic mutation that could put you at risk for certain cancers, while most people associate BRCA, commonly referred as BRCA. With breast cancer, the gene can carry risk for both men and women. Mandy Gaither has more on a push to get more men to talk to their doctors in honor of National Men's Health Month.
At age 61, Steve Callister's father lost his battle to an aggressive form of prostate cancer.
You know, I've long had concerns about what my risk might be.
Now Callister's a father to 9-year-old twins.
I'm 50 years old now, and certainly want to be around for my family. And
that's why he decided to get genetic testing done.
it did come back as BRCA2 positive.
Having that gene mutation increases risk of certain cancers, including prostate, pancreas, and breast.
Hereditary cancer can be inherited from your mom or your dad, whether you're a male or a female. So, for example, if you're a male who's coming to see me, you can inherit cancer risk from your mother.
Hi, Steve. How are you today?
That's why Lindsay Byrne, licensed genetic counselor at Ohio State University College of Medicine, says it's important to know your family health history on all sides. If there's cancer in your family, she says talk to a doctor about whether genetic testing is right for you.
It helps us to know who's at higher risk and when to start screening.
Since his test results, Callister has changed his lifestyle to limit his risks and make sure he gets routine tests done every year.
It really is kind of a knowledge is power thing for me.
The genetic counselor says testing results typically are done through blood or saliva, and the results usually come back within 2 to 3 weeks. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching KOAM Morning News.
Taking a look at the Skywatch storm tracker, you can see there's some showers. A lot of this not even hitting the ground. Let me back up here. Some of our western counties are seeing some of that activity. Nothing else going on across the nation right now. Outside, the sun is set to rise at 6:01. We're starting to see a little more daylight out there. Temperatures looking pretty good too as we start this Tuesday morning. 64 is what it's sitting at in Joplin. We've got mostly mid-60s across most of the area. Taking a look at that 7-day forecast though, we have another nice warm one today, and then we really start to see the temperatures pick up over the next several days. Unfortunately though, rain chances are going to increase as well. We'll talk more about these rain chances and what it means for the 4th of July when the KOAM Morning News returns. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. It's more real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Coming up, an Amtrak train derails in Missouri, killing at least 3 people.
Plus, we've got little ones here again today. We're also watching the sunrise. Sunrise officially set for 6:01. Break down the forecast in Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, McDonald County middle schoolers use podcasting to try to bring awareness to a bird population that is declining.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:31. I'm Jalen Banks.
I had to bring the little one again. You saw him there for a second, and here he is. Well, anyway, we do have a beautiful day shaping up across the area, Jalen. As you can see, look at that. It just looks absolutely gorgeous out there. We are sitting at about 64 degrees outside. Most of us are sitting and hovering around the mid-60s, starting to get into the upper 60s. We're going to have an absolutely gorgeous day on hand, heading for an actual high of about 85, sitting in the lower 80s most of the day. Sunny skies. It's going to cool off again this evening, but not as cool as it was last night as we get into the lower 60s instead of some of the upper 50s. And taking a look at that 7-day forecast, we do have warming temperatures. Summer is coming back, and then rain chances are going to come back. But I do have some good news. I keep checking. So far, the 4th of July, rain is a possibility, but it looks like it's going to happen a little bit earlier in the day and should clear out by time for fireworks.
Awesome. Well, yeah, you can't light something that's wet.
No, you most certainly cannot. And then, of course, even if you can get it lit, there's no guarantee it's going to go off if it's all wet. So,
yeah, as long as things are dry and we can celebrate our country's independence. But if not, it's still the 4th of July and we can keep things rolling on in.
Hey, bud, how are you? Yeah, are you ready for the 4th of July? Okay, good. He's ready for the 4th of July. So hopefully we can, keep him safe. Make sure you keep your little ones safe.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chris. A new study shows gun deaths in Oklahoma have increased since a permitless carry law went into effect. The 2019 law allows people over the age of 21 to carry a gun without a permit or training. The newspaper The Oklahoman analyzed state medical examiner data and found the state recorded some of its deadliest months in history since the law took effect. In the decade before permitless carry, only 10 months had 70 or more firearm deaths. From November 2019 until January, there were 10 months with more than 70 gun-related deaths. It looks like some of us will pay more for natural gas. The Missouri Public Service Commission has approved an agreement in a rate case filed by the Empire District Liberty Utilities Company. It means the average residential customer will pay about $1.50 more per month for natural gas. Liberty provides natural gas to 44,000 customers in 19 Missouri counties, including Vernon County. The U.S. Supreme Court's historic decision to strike down its nearly 50-year-old precedent on abortion rights shifts the debate from Washington, D.C. to the states, and state leaders are staking out their positions. It's an immediate issue for the people of Kansas, who will vote August 2nd on whether to authorize state lawmakers to adopt tighter restrictions on abortions. On Monday, KOAM talked with Kansas Attorney General Derek Schmidt, who voiced his support for the Supreme Court ruling.
Well, I think the U.S. Supreme Court got the law right. I think Roe versus Wade was incorrect from the time it was decided as a matter of constitutional law. The opinion from 1973 read like a policy paper or a political compromise, not like a constitutional interpretation. So I think the court did the right thing. It's going to invite some difficult discussions in Kansas and around the country.
Trigger laws banning most abortions are already in effect in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Some McDonald County middle schoolers are reaching out with podcasts to teach four-staters about the environment and help some of the area's bird population. They're doing a podcast and talking with scientists at KNEO Radio studying whippoorwills. The population of the bird species is declining in the area, and the students themselves are learning in the process.
Something I wasn't expecting was learning about birds in general coming into this, but as we got to learn more about birds and whippoorwills, it's been a really fun adventure to get to this point.
The program is called SOAP, a combination of the words success and hope. At least 3 people are dead after an Amtrak train hit a truck in rural Missouri. This is KOAM News at 10. Federal investigators arrive tomorrow morning to figure out what happened. Dina Demetrius has the latest.
At least 3 people are dead after an Amtrak train traveling from Los Angeles to Chicago derailed in rural northern Missouri. Amtrak says the derailment occurred just before 1 p.m. local time after the train slammed into a dump truck that was blocking a public crossing. The driver of that dump truck is among the deceased. Officials say 243 passengers and 12 crew members were on board the train when the incident occurred. First responders rushed to the scene using ladders and other tools to get into the heavily damaged train cars.
Multiple law enforcement agencies, ambulance districts, first responders, fire departments, and medical helicopters responded to assist.
The train had roughly 8 cars. 7 derailed. Multiple people were also injured during the incident and were transported to local hospitals by helicopter and ambulance. Their conditions are not known at this time.
It's an uncontrolled crossbuck intersection on a gravel road, so no lights, no electronic control devices, things such as that.
Officials from Amtrak are responding to the scene, and the NTSB has been advised. The investigation is in its preliminary stages.
This deadly incident comes just 1 day after another Amtrak train collided with a car in Northern California, killing 3 people. The National Transportation Safety Board has launched an investigation into the incident. A 14-member crew is expected to arrive at the scene Tuesday. In Mendon, Missouri, Madison Scarpino, Fox News.
This is the second deadly Amtrak crash in 2 days. A passenger train struck a car on a rail crossing in Northern California Sunday. 3 people died.
Hey, check this out. We are sitting in the mid-60s across the board for most of us. We are on track for an absolutely beautiful day. We're looking at an ultimate high of about 84, 85 today, which is going to be nice. And we'll, again, cool off like we did in the past, but we're not going to cool off as much as we did yesterday. We're going to be dipping back into the lower 60s across the board. And on that 7-day forecast, that's not the 7-day forecast, goodness. This is the 7-day forecast. Take a look at this. Temperatures are going to start to warm up. Summer does make it to return just in time for 4th of July, but we do have some rain chances coming in. Good news is 4th of July not looking like a complete washout.
For millions of Americans, paying rent means a balancing act. Across the United States, inflation is at its highest levels in 4 decades. As rents have hit record highs this year and mortgages have seen week-to-week increases not seen since the 80s. According to a new report from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, more than 10 million renters say they're not caught up on rent as of March. The highest proportion is in black communities, where it's over 1 in 5 renters. Down from peak pandemic levels, but still higher than all other racial demographics. And as a federal rental aid stemming from the pandemic begins to run out, it could get worse. This brings us to our something to talk about. Has rent gone up for you? Yes or no?
Well, I know for me, we're still renting. Thankfully, you know, there's been talk about our rent possibly increasing, but the good news is it has not as of yet. It looks like most of the folks around here have not seen a significant increase in rent. 33% of you say that you have seen an increase in rent, and 67% of you say not. But Jalen, as you mentioned, you know, things are definitely changing. Prices on everything are going up, and so that's going to make it difficult regardless. You know, especially for landlords. They've got to take care of maintenance costs, you know, depending on what their responsibilities are, and those costs are going to go up. So hopefully most of us can stay lucky and not see a big increase. But we do need you to vote, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote, and in the app and on our Facebook page.
Yeah, let us know, give us your feedback so that we can continue to highlight this issue that's going on throughout our country. Let's look at our top stories this morning. Coming up this half hour on KOAM Morning News, a morning show host and journalist went missing 27 years ago in Iowa. How her friends and family are remembering her. Plus, a toxic gas attack in Jordan leaves at least 10 people dead. We'll have the latest. You're watching KOAM Morning News, more real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, police are investigating how 21 teenagers died in a nightclub in South Africa on Sunday. Parents of the victims are demanding answers, as Tina Kraus reports from London.
Forensic teams carried bodies away as investigators searched for clues to explain how 21 teenagers died inside a South African nightclub. Employees say at first they thought people had passed out from drinking too much, but then realized some had stopped breathing. When witnesses saw victims keep collapsing one after the other, they called police. Investigators say it's possible victims died from something they ate, drank, or smoked. Some on the scene suggested a possible gas leak. This woman lost her daughter and says she was just 17, out enjoying a night with her friends. Some were celebrating the end of school exams. Others were having a birthday party. Authorities say the youngest victim was 13 years old. Police say bouncers struggled to control crowds at the club, but have ruled out a stampede. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
It's illegal to serve drinks to those under 18 in South Africa. Police stripped the nightclub of its liquor license as the investigation continues. A toxic gas leak at Resort City in Jordan is being blamed for the deaths of at least 10 people. Security camera video shows a container being moved by a crane in the port of Aqaba on the Red Sea. The container drops and people can be seen running as a cloud of yellow gas erupts onto a ship and inside the port. It's not yet clear what the toxic gas was, but the area is under quarantine. More than 200 people have been reported injured from the leak, and area hospitals are reportedly full to capacity with victims. Jordanian state television says people living in the area are being told to close their windows and stay inside. Nearly 40 people are dead following a brutal attack by suspected government separatists in southern Cameroon. Authorities say gunmen swooped into a village in the Akwaya district Saturday morning as a wake was taking place and opened fire on mourners. The attackers allegedly fired indiscriminately into a compound, setting dozens of houses and the village hospital on fire. A local doctor says it is the 6th time a gunman have attacked the village since separatist violence erupted in Cameroon 6 years ago. It's estimated that at least 4,000 people have been killed and more than 1 million forced to leave their homes since the fighting began. That's a look at some of our biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with you with the news you need to know now before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities say at least 3 people are dead after a train derailment in rural Missouri. Several cars on this Amtrak train flipped on their side after the train collided with a dump truck at a public crossing in Minden, about 100 miles northeast of Kansas City. Authorities say at least 50 people are hurt. An estimated 243 passengers were on board the train traveling from Los Angeles to Chicago. Authorities were on the scene, and Amtrak says it also has deployed resources. It looks like some of us will pay more for natural gas. the Missouri Public Service Commission has approved an agreement in a rate case filed by the Empire District Liberty Utilities. It means the average residential customer will pay about $1.50 per month more for natural gas. Liberty provides natural gas to 44,000 customers in 19 Missouri counties, including Vernon County. A new study shows gun deaths in Oklahoma have increased since a permitless carry law went into effect. The 2019 law allows people over the age of 21 to carry a gun without a permit or training. The newspaper The Oklahoman analyzed state medical examiner data and found the state recorded some of its deadliest months in history since the law took effect. In the decade before permitless carry, only 10 months had 70 or more firearm deaths. From November 2019 until January, there were 10 months with more than 70 gun-related deaths. 6 Oklahomans have filed 2 federal lawsuits that challenge a state law intended to crack down on protesters. They also allege their civil rights were violated when they were arrested in Oklahoma City in 2020. The 6 say the anti-protest law is unconstitutionally broad and vague. The law passed in 2021 increases the penalties for blocking roadways and grants immunities to motorists who kill or injure rioters. The second lawsuit alleges that constitutional rights of 5 of the 6 plaintiffs were violated when they were charged with inciting a riot following a confrontation with police. That's a check of today's top headlines, news you need to know before you head out the door.
Taking a look at the Skywatch storm tracker, we've got some showers out there. As you can see, most of them are breaking up as we progress through the day. Wider view, not a lot going on across the nation. For us, though, take a look at this. The sun is starting to come up. Official sunrise time is at 6:01, so 11 minutes from right now. We are sitting at about 64 degrees, still calm winds. Not bad. 60s, mid-60s. For most of us across the region. As we go through the day, though, here's what you need to know as you head out the door. 82 by noon, 84 by 5, 69 by 8. Sunny skies. We have some clouds out there now, but they are going to clear out as we head into the overnight. It's going to cool off again into the lower 60s for most of us. And on that 7-day forecast, we do see a warming trend on the way. We also see increasing rain chances. More on your complete forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. It's more real news in the morning.
Jody Husentrut was a journalist who went missing 27 years ago. She hosted a morning show just like ours now. Her friends are remembering her for the person she was, and they still hope to find her to this day. Alex Juergens reports.
Many here remember Jody Husentrut as a smiling face that viewers would see on television every morning, and a wonderful human being. Amy Coons was not only the associate producer of KIMT's morning newscast at the time, she was also the last known person to speak with Jody.
In a way, I felt like we were all victims. Jody, me, her coworkers, her family, all of North Iowa, people who watched her on TV. It didn't just happen to her, it happened to our community as a whole.
Since that day, Amy has dealt with both anxiety and depression. With today being the 27th anniversary of Jody's disappearance, and knowing that Jody was 27 years old at the time, she's speaking out and sharing her story.
I'm a big believer in signs. The fact that this is triple 27, I'm like, it's time. And for my own healing and hopefully for the community's healing, I just figured now is the time to speak up and let's get this figured out.
Also speaking today was Caroline Lowe, a longtime television reporter in the Twin Cities. The retired journalist is part of FindJody.com, a website that gathers tips and leads about Jody's case.
Jody should have been finishing the new newscast, working with Amy Coons and Kevin Skarupa, the weather guy. Instead, the police were at her apartment complex at a crime scene. And her family, her news family, was forever touched. They had to do the unthinkable to cover this as a news story and plow through their fears, their trauma, wondering if one of them is going to be targeted next.
As the days and years march on, the push continues by many to find answers about this ongoing mystery.
We don't know if what happened to Jody is connected to what she did. We just don't know.
Hopefully they can find Jody. We'll be right back with another look at our forecast right after this. Coming up, Carthage begins preparations for the return to Marion Days after a 2-year hiatus.
We're waiting for the sun to rise. It's going to do so in exactly 1 minute. We'll break down your full forecast in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, it's time to light up the fireworks, and we've got some helpful tips to keep you and your family safe this holiday season.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Jalen Banks. Let's also toss it over to Chris to see what we've got going on weather-wise.
We have another gorgeous day lined up for us today before summer heat makes a glorious return to the 4-state area. The sun is rising in approximately 15-20 seconds. If you want to get real technical, real official about it, sunrise is at 6:01. 64 is where we are sitting in Joplin, and we are sitting in the mid-60s for most of us across the area. The good news is, as we head through the day, it's going to warm up and these clouds are going to clear out. We're heading for an afternoon high about 84, 85. We're going to cool off into the upper 60s overnight. But as I mentioned, we have a warming trend that is on its way. We also have increasing rain chances, and that's something that we're going to keep an eye on. And these increasing rain chances are coming as we head into the holiday weekend. Now, the good news is, the more I look at the data, Doug and Nick, of course, will also be breaking down this data. It looks like any kind of showers or thunderstorms that we see on the 4th of July should happen early enough in the day that it shouldn't really wash out any 4th of July festivities. And the good news is they look to be pretty isolated and maybe widely scattered, so it won't be just like that. It should be all right.
See, we got the sun coming back up.
Yeah.
Looks very Wakanda-esque, if you ask me. It's looking beautiful, 4 states.
It is beautiful around here, and the sunrises around here are just amazing.
All right, thank you, Chris. The U.S. Supreme Court's historic decision to strike down its nearly 50-year-old precedent on abortion rights shifts the debate from Washington, D.C. to the states, and state leaders are staking out their positions. It's an immediate issue for the people of Kansas, who will vote August 2nd on whether to authorize state lawmakers to adopt tighter restrictions on abortions. On Monday, KOAM talked with Kansas Attorney General Derek Schmidt, who voiced his support for the Supreme Court ruling.
So I think the court did the right thing. It's going to invite some difficult discussions in Kansas and around the country, but the decisions now have been returned to the people, and Americans have shown time and again we're capable of arguing and debating and discussing among ourselves until we come to the right answer and the right balance. I think we'll do that here too.
Trigger laws banning most abortions are already in effect in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. 6 Oklahomans filed 2 federal lawsuits that change a state law intended to crack down on protesters. They also allege their civil rights were violated when they were arrested in Oklahoma City in 2020. The 6 say that the anti-protest law is unconstitutionally broad and vague. The law passed in 2021 increases the penalties for blocking roadways and grants immunity to motorists who kill or injure rioters. The second lawsuit alleges the constitutional rights of 5 of the 6 plaintiffs were violated when they were charged with inciting a riot following a confrontation with police. Oklahoma primaries are today. Party nominations will be decided for governor, a U.S. Senate, a state representative seat, state treasurer, and locally, the district attorney for Ottawa County. It looks like some of us will pay more for natural gas. The Missouri Public Service Commission has approved an agreement and rate case file by the Empire District Liberty Utilities Company. It means the average residential customer will pay about $1.50 more per month for natural gas. Liberty provides natural gas to 44,000 customers in 19 Missouri counties, including Vernon County. Carthage, gear up for the return of the 4 states' largest annual festivals. Marian Days will return in August for the first time since 2019. It brings tens of thousands of Vietnamese American Roman Catholics to town for a 4-day celebration of faith and heritage. On Monday, the Carthage City Council discussed a few matters concerning traffic, security, and cell phone towers to accommodate the crowds. The festival had been an annual event since 1978 until the pandemic forced organizers to cancel it the last 2 summers. City leaders are glad to see it return.
The vast majority of our community just really likes Marian Days. It's to the point now where a lot of our community will come out there to walk through, and they have food tents out there. They'll eat and interact with the pilgrims that come for the event, and it truly is. It's something to experience. It really is.
Marian Days will be August 4th through the 7th on the campus of the Congregation of the Mother Co-Redemptrix. Fireworks season can lead to accidents if we're not careful. Experts warn you should never aim fireworks at another person because any firework can be dangerous. Also, keep a bucket of water nearby in case you need to quickly extinguish anything. And don't let the small ones fool you. Be careful with them too.
We really encourage, even more than the big ones, that you do brace the small ones. A lot of people don't brace the small ones, and I feel like it's even more important. It's important for all of them, but maybe even more important for small fireworks than for large ones.
Experts also say to back up to safe distancing after lighting any firework. Coming up later in the show, our own Amber Jenkins takes a closer look at how you can keep your family safe while enjoying the holiday. It's good to be the king. On this date back in 1926, Melvin Kaminsky was born in New York, but you might know him better as Mel Brooks. The career of Mel Brooks spans more than 7 decades. Notably as a writer since the 40s, Brooks had a hit after he teamed with Buck Henry on the TV series Get Smart, but it was feature films where Brooks made his name. Although his debut film, The Producers, in 1968 was not a box office success, it did win Brooks his first Academy Award. Box office hits following with Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein in the 70s and Spaceballs in 1987. Brooks is also only one of 17 people to achieve EGOT status, winning multiple Emmys, Grammys, Tonys, and an Academy Award.
That's certainly an impressive career for Mel Brooks. I mean, I have seen some of his movies, and just watching, first off, just his movies are fantastic, and they're hilarious. But on top of that, then you get Mel Brooks in there as well, and he just seems to add to that. See, I'm a big Star Trek fan. Sorry everybody, I've never been a very big Star Wars fan. But Mel Brooks' Spaceballs is as close to Star Wars as I ever got, and honestly, it always cracked me up every time I watched it, just because it's just so funny. And Blazing Saddles, of course, is great as well. I mean, he's just had a great career.
Well, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so once I was of age to finally watch Spaceballs, I definitely tried to use the Schwartz and try my best to learn from Yogurt, but I ended up becoming, a reporter and now a fill-in anchor.
Well, see, but now you can use the Schwartz to benefit your career here. So just make sure you empower yourself with the Schwartz. Speaking of Schwartz, we are heading for a pretty nice day today. We're having an afternoon high of about 85 degrees. We're going to cool off into the upper 60s. We do have some warmer temperatures and rain chances coming up. We will break that all down in your complete forecast a little bit later.
Well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on KOAM Morning News, we'll meet a family grateful for the efforts of first responders when their son gets his arm struck in a pool jet. Plus, Texas authorities began the investigation into deaths of over a dozen migrants discovered in a tractor trailer. And in the wake of the Roe v. Wade decision, some state lawmakers now set their sights on contraception. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, authorities say at least 3 people are dead after a train derailment in rural Missouri. Several cars on this Amtrak train flipped on their side after the train collided with a dump truck at a public crossing in Mendon, about 100 miles northeast of Kansas City. Authorities say at least 50 people were hurt and an estimated 243 passengers were on board the train traveling from Los Angeles to Chicago. Authorities were on the scene, and Amtrak says it also has deployed resources. Authorities are searching for answers after they say close to 4 dozen migrants were found dead inside a tractor trailer in San Antonio, Texas yesterday. 3 people were brought into custody, though police say it's unclear if they're connected to the incident. Ken Molestina reports.
San Antonio police say a city worker helped uncover the gruesome scene after hearing a cry for help near a tractor trailer on a remote back road. Officers say the worker looked inside the trailer and found a number of dead bodies.
We have processed approximately 46 bodies that have been triaged and tagged and declared deceased at this time. We're not supposed to open up a truck and see stacks of bodies in there. None of us come to work imagining that.
The incident appears to be the latest and one of the deadliest in decades, involving people trying to cross the border from Mexico.
The plight of migrants seeking refuge is always a humanitarian crisis, but tonight we are dealing with a horrific human tragedy.
4 children were among 16 people rescued and taken to area hospitals with heat-related injuries. Authorities say they were hot to the touch and dehydrated with no signs of water in the trailer.
If it's 100 outside, it goes for about 125 degrees inside without water, without air, without nothing. It's ridiculous. I just can't understand how drivers can do that.
Police say they may conduct another canine search in the nearby woods today just to be sure there are no additional bodies. Ken Molestina, CBS News, San Antonio, Texas.
The fire chief said all of the people found dead in the rig were adults, a mix of both men and women. That's a look at today's top national stories. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. A family in Chapel Hill, Tennessee, giving thanks to first responders after their son got his arm stuck in a pool jet. Jolyn Bukacek has the details.
Words can't say how appreciative we are of all you guys and the hard work. And I mean, it was grueling. I mean, 100-degree weather and in that pool. And
5-year-old Leon Johnston and his family thanked the Chapel Hill and Franklin firefighters in person for saving Leon's life.
Like I said to several other people, I said concrete and PVC can be repaired, but repairing a hand or arm or even a life, obviously, is real tough.
More than 15 people worked to rescue Leon after his hand got stuck in a swimming pool pump.
I had told them to stay away from any holes in the pool because it's dangerous, but he's 5, so.
It took hours to free his arm.
180 minutes.
Leon was counting down those moments.
How long was it, buddy?
180 minutes.
Those minutes felt like an eternity for Leon's mom, Lydia.
It was frightening. Just all the possibilities of what could happen were going through my mind.
Lydia is just thankful the first responders were able to carefully drill through the pool wall and cut the pool pipe without hurting Leon. She was overwhelmed by everyone who jumped into action once they heard her cry for help, including Leon's 7-year-old sister, Eliza.
People were just running up and coming up so fast. And Eliza was a hero too, because she went running for the neighbor who had the keys to turn the pump off.
Though still a little shaken up, Leon says he's ready to get back in the water once the pool is repaired. And it's going to be, we have plenty of chances to get in the water as we head through the week. We have some showers, as you can see, most of this not even reaching the ground. And if you take a look, a lot of it is just moving off to the southeast and breaking up as it does so. Skywatch Storm Tracker on the national level showing not really a lot going on. We had a system moving off the east coast. We've got some showers in Minnesota, and that's really about it. And that's really going to be about it. Take a look. Sun's coming up, but we do have clouds from that rainfall that's falling apart. So it's kind of black in the sun, but still absolutely gorgeous. And temperatures right now are very gorgeous too. 64 is where we are sitting. Now we do have a warm up on the way. Most of us still sitting in the mid 60s. We're going to head for a high of about 84, 85 today. It's going to warm up even more tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. And even as it warms up into the holiday weekend, we do have increasing rain chances, including on the 4th of July. We'll tell you more about those potential rain chances on the 4th and what we'll see through the weekend when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Topping Health Watch this morning, many are questioning what the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade means for contraception and abortion pills that can be delivered by mail. There's also the possibility that states that ban abortion will try to punish women who leave the state for care. In Missouri, where abortion has already been banned, Republicans are looking to target what they call abortion tourism. Alexandra Field reports.
In at least
10 states now, women with almost no access to abortion care left scrambling. It's what women in Missouri have done for years, fleeing across state lines from a state with almost no abortion access to Illinois for care. The single abortion clinic left in St. Louis is no longer performing procedures. Now, advocates in one of the staunchest anti-abortion states in the nation are poised to make access to abortion even harder.
It's hard to state what a victory this is for the pro-life movement.
Mary Elizabeth Coleman is a Republican state representative who helped draft the trigger law that effectively banned abortion in Missouri within just moments of the Supreme Court's ruling. Her top legislative priority, making sure access to abortion in Missouri can never come back.
We have to make sure through a ballot initiative or a referendum for a constitutional change to make sure that there is no way to find a right to abortion in our state constitution.
Coleman also leaves the door open for the state legislature to consider new limits to what she calls abortion tourism. Previous proposals have failed to gain traction.
What does that look like, potentially? There's a definition about if you're aiding or abetting violating the laws of the state of Missouri, that you would be able to have some kind of Texas-style enforcement so that there would be civil penalties for doing so.
Coleman says the abortion ban already outlaws medication abortion. Some abortion rights opponents say the state should crack down more on the importation of FDA-approved pills.
The battle's not over. The battleground has changed.
A group of St. Louis's older women say they're ready to fight for abortion rights, introducing a bill on the day the decision came down to use COVID relief funds to provide abortion support, including for travel.
This bill will provide $1 million in funding to access abortions, so it could be lodging, transportation, meals, childcare, things of that nature.
As the desert of care dries up, St. Louis's Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush says solutions could come from new frontiers, like using federal lands for abortion clinics, expanding existing clinics, and trying to find federal dollars to support women in need.
Right now, it seems like for some, it seems like all is lost. It's just more difficult.
Under Missouri's trigger law, abortions will only be permitted in case of medical emergency. There are no exceptions for rape or incest. That's a look at today's top health stories. You're watching KOAM Morning News.
We're heading for an afternoon high of about 84, 85 degrees for most of us. The clouds that we're experiencing right now are going to clear out. We're going to cool off into the upper 60s as we head into the overnight hours and starting the day off tomorrow with that morning drive at about 64 degrees. Future track, so you can see the red. This is Thursday at 4 o'clock. You can see some of these reds, these warmer temperatures building out in Kansas. That is thanks to this guy, this high pressure situated over New Mexico. It's going to continue to push this ridge back to the north, which means our warmer temperatures are going to return. But with it, there's some Gulf moisture that's going to be coming in, and it's going to bring us some extra chances of showers and maybe thunderstorms as we head into the weekend. So let's take a look at that 7-day forecast. Nice today, starts to really warm up, heat, humidity start to build up, and that's when these storm chances build in as we head into the holiday weekend. We're going to be seeing the 90s as we go in. 4th of July is looking nice and hot and warm. 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, not expected to be a complete washout, but there may be some early day storms for some of us as we get the day underway. We'll have more when the KOA Morning News comes back.
Coming up, Carthage begins preparations for the return of Marian days after a 2-year hiatus.
The sun is beginning to rise. It just disappeared behind these clouds. We've got a warmer week ahead. We're going to break it down in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, it's time to light up fireworks, and we've got some helpful tips to keep you and your family safe this holiday season.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:28. I'm Jalen Banks. We'll have those stories and more, but first let's head over to Chris and look at this fantastic forecast today.
It is a fantastic forecast for the next few days. Even though the temperatures are going to be warming up, it's still going to be nice and sunny. So you can see the sun rising right now in Joplin. It is 64 degrees as the clouds continue to clear out. And that was because there was some shower activity out there, but it's all breaking up. We do have mid-60s for most of us across the area, and that's going to be the trend. We're going to continue to warm. The clouds are going to clear. The sun will come out, not tomorrow, but today, as we head for a high of about 85. Cooling off this evening, though, not looking too bad as we head back into the upper 60s. We do have a big warming trend on the way. We also have some scattered rain chances heading into the holiday weekend. I know that's kind of scary as we head into a holiday weekend, especially one where rain can really ruin it. But I do have some good news out of all that. We're going to break down that full forecast here in just a couple minutes, Mr. Jalen.
Awesome. The sun did come out today. It'll
did.
come out tomorrow.
It will come out again tomorrow. That is true.
And it's only a day away.
That's another day.
All right. Thank you, Chris. All right. A new study shows gun deaths in Oklahoma have increased since the permitless law went into effect. The 2019 law allows people over the age of 21 to carry a gun without a permit or training. The newspaper, The Oklahoman, analyzed state medical examiner data and found the state recorded some of its deadliest months in history since the law took effect. In the decade before permitless carry, only 10 months had 70 or more firearm deaths. From November 2019 until January, there were 10 months with more than 70 gun-related deaths. Missouri Governor Mike Parson has signed a bill that will exempt FIFA World Cup tickets from sales tax when the games are played in Kansas City in 2026. Last week's announcement that Kansas City would host some games was met with cheers in the city. FIFA officials required tax breaks from cities hoping to host the games. Democratic State Senator John Rizzo from the Kansas City region said estimates are the same. Estimates are the game could bring more than $600 million in state revenue. Carthage is gearing up for the return of one of the four states' largest annual festivals. Marian Days will return in August for the first time since 2019. It brings tens of thousands of Vietnamese American Roman Catholics to the town for a 4-day celebration of faith and heritage. On Monday, the Carthage City Council discussed a few matters concerning traffic, security, and cell phone towers to accommodate the crowds. The festival had been an annual event since 1978 until the pandemic forced organizers to cancel it the last 2 summers. City leaders are glad to see it return.
The vast majority of our community just really likes Marian Days. It's to the point now where a lot of our community will come out there to walk through, and they have food tents out there. They'll eat and interact with the pilgrims that come for the event, and it truly is. It's something to experience. It really is.
Marian Days will be August 4th through the 7th on the campus of the Congregation of the Mother Co-Redemptrix. Improper use of fireworks can turn summer fun into a disaster. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has some safety tips to follow.
Summertime means heat, pool days, and fireworks.
We encourage, a lot of people don't know this, but if you put a barrier between you and your audience, so just like a piece of plywood, a 4x4, something that if the firework would happen to tip over outside of your bracing, it wouldn't get into your crowd. That's always a good idea, and never, ever, ever hold a firework in your hand.
Fireworks should be still handled with caution, even if you think there's no charge. Correctly disposing spent fireworks can prevent a potential disaster.
I want to make sure that everybody has a container to put the spent fireworks in. Make sure we have a bucket of water or a non-combustible container we can drop the sparklers in so we're not throwing them down on the ground, stepping on them.
With these tips, do not let the lack of caution around fireworks ruin your fun.
Yeah, every year we'll get some grass fires and we'll get some vegetation around the house. Somebody will catch something on fire because the fireworks got away from them. Didn't go as planned, to say. And
in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Authorities emphasize if your fireworks celebration gets out of hand, don't hesitate to call 911. Be sure to download the KOAM News app for all your election needs. You can also go to our website for election information at koamnewsnow.com/elections. The website includes resources for all of the four-state area, such as polling places, deadlines, dates, and you can even check to see if you're registered to vote. Once again, that's koamnewsnow.com/elections. On this date in 1968, what is regarded as history's first major protest for LGBTQ equality takes place at the Stonewall Inn in New York City after patrons and local sympathizers riot against authorities. Following yet another police raid, gathering crowds began throwing bottles at the police. The protest spilled into neighboring streets, and order wasn't restored until after 4 in the morning. Days of demonstrations followed, and the Gay Liberation Front and other gay, lesbian, and bisexual civil rights groups began to form. 1 year later, New York's first official gay pride parade set off from the Stonewall, and the month of June was designated for LGBTQ Pride Month to commemorate the uprising.
And it's still something that that members of that community continue to fight for today. It's something that's been going on for quite some time, and of course with the Supreme Court decision on Roe v. Wade, that they've been discussing the possibility of looking at some of the other decisions, which include the legal rights for gay marriage and for same-sex couples. So something that they'll have to keep up on, and I know that they're going to keep working for their rights as well.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's going to be a hot topic, in recent months to come.
Absolutely, Jalen. Hey, it's also going to be hot outside. Look at that. Look at that. Hot. It's going to really heat up. Summer's going to make a prompt return to the 4 states as we head into the next couple of days. We go into the weekend, temperatures really rise. And we also see a rise in thunderstorm chances. That does include on the 4th of July. But latest model data is suggesting that any storms that we do see, which would be isolated to widely scattered in nature, are going to happen before it would be time for fireworks. So that's a good news. Good news.
That's a look at our top news stories coming up. This half hour on KOAM Morning News. Summer travel season kicks off, and many people seek different vacation off the grid. Plus, one more casualty of rising costs is rent. We want to know if you're paying more for rent. We let you weigh in, and we'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, the popularity of going off the grid while traveling has increased before the pandemic, but has intensified. More Americans want to disconnect from virtual life and connect with those who really matter. Wendy Gillette reports on the trend from Amazon in Brazil.
These are the sounds of the Amazon. A few hours after leaving the city of Manaus in northwest Brazil on a rainforest cruise, we're aboard Amazon Nature Tours Motor Yacht Tucano for a reduced rate. There's no cell phone service or Wi-Fi for most of the trip, which takes up to 16 passengers out for as long as a week.
Very first reaction is shock and concern, soon followed by deep relief. And people really enjoy having an opportunity to disconnect.
A recent survey by the luxury network Virtuoso found 92% of travel advisors say their clients are bringing health, wellness, and self-care into their trips this year. And 29% prioritize digital detoxing, even more than diet programs or beauty treatments.
They begin to appreciate more external things instead of simply, the internal echo that we all suffer with.
The Amazon trip takes unplugged travelers on guided excursions deep into the rainforest. Whoa! There's fishing for piranhas. Can I touch it? Yeah. Which become the night's main course. Amazon! There's also the opportunity to take a dip in the Rio Negro River, the largest blackwater river in the world. You don't have to trek somewhere as exotic as the Amazon to take a break from technology.
You can make any trip a digital detox, whether it's close to home or far away. All you have to do is turn off your electronic devices and make the commitment to separate from the world.
And whether you're choosing the digital detox or it's imposed by the remote location, the idea is to return renewed with a clearer perspective. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, the Amazon, Brazil.
We'll see if Wall Street's recent roller coaster ride extends into the summer. With 2022 nearly half over, the markets are deep into the red. The S&P 500 is down 18%, but it managed to claw out of bear territory after plummeting earlier this month to more than 20% below its January high. The Dow is down 13% on the year, while the Nasdaq has lost just over a quarter of its value. Yet another rough weekend at the airport stretched into yet another weekday. At least 800 flights were canceled across the United States on Monday afternoon, according to the flight tracking website FlightWare. That after more than 1,500 domestic flights canceled Saturday and Sunday. Hundreds of off-duty Delta airline pilots, meantime, plan to picket this week, demanding a pay increase and that the carrier change its schedules to reduce flight disruptions. Union officials say pilot wages haven't increased since 2016. Delta says it began contract negotiations earlier this year after talks were halted for 2 years during the pandemic. Juul Labs is asking a federal appeals court to block the FDA's ban on its e-cigarettes and flavored pies. In an emergency motion filed Monday, Juul called the FDA's action extraordinary and unlawful. The FDA ordered Juul to stop selling the products amid a surge of youth vaping. On Friday, an appeals court temporarily halted the ban while it decides whether Juul can keep selling the items as it appeals the FDA decision. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Chris for our Something to Talk About.
Jalen, thank you. This morning we're discussing rising rent prices. For millions of Americans, paying rent means a balancing act. Across the United States, inflation is at its highest levels in 4 decades, as rents have hit record highs this year and mortgages have seen week-to-week increases not seen since the 80s. According to a new report from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, more than 10 million renters say they're not caught up on rent as of March. The highest proportion in black communities, where it's over 1 in 5 renters, down from peak pandemic levels, but still higher than all other racial demographics. And as federal rental aid stemming from the pandemic begins to run out, it could get worse. And this brings us to our Something to Talk About. Has your rent gone up? The good news is, in the 4 states, if you look at those numbers, it looks like it's not going up. 10% of you say you have seen an increase in rent. 90% of you say you haven't. We invite you to vote at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. And you can also do so in the KOAM News Now app. And we invite you to take part in the discussion on our Facebook page, facebook.com/KOAM Fox 14. Now, let's check in with Tony to see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, Mark Cuban will join us to talk about his new low-cost drug company and the price of medication in these United States. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Vernon McCoy. PHM McCoy served in the Navy from 1943 to 1945. He served in the South Pacific, where he witnessed the flag waving over Mount Surabaki in 1945, a native of Carthage, Missouri. We thank you today's 4-state hero, Vernon McCoy.
It's time for us now to celebrate some birthdays. We are celebrating First Brindley High School in Stockton. She is turning 9 today. Looks like she's doing some cheering, and today's a good day to cheer. This comes with love from Granny and Papa.
Happy birthday, Brindley. We wish a happy birthday to Daisy Ellison of Weir, Kansas. You finally have hit double digits, Daisy. Happy birthday.
I know what that's like. We just had ours hit double digits not long ago. Carson Hurlbert is turning 11 in Pittsburgh. We are sending a very happy birthday to Carson.
Happiest of birthdays, Carson. Happy birthday to Brendan Burns of Pittsburgh, Kansas. He is turning 26 today and is receiving much love from Grandma and Grandpa.
We're also celebrating Chris Waring in Liberal, turning 38 years old today. A very happy birthday to a man with a very fantastic name. Chris is a perfect name, don't you agree?
We are wishing a happy birthday to Tammy Nitch. Tammy is turning 53 years young, and she shares the hometown of our very own Jacob Leonard's over at Yates Center.
All right, so Yates Center is a beautiful community. I've been there myself. Jim Cook turning 80 years young in Jasper. Boy, Jim, when I reach 80, I hope I look as good as you do, because you look pretty darn good for being 80 years old. Jim, goodness. A very happy birthday to you, Jim.
We are wishing a happy birthday to Gloria Hayward. Her birthday was yesterday, but after reaching 81 years young, we're just going to celebrate every day.
We are also celebrating Richard Hayward turning 60 in Altamont. This is Gloria's son, and Richard's birthday was yesterday. A very happy birthday to Richard.
We are wishing a happy birthday to Laurie Graham of Pittsburgh.
You have skipped a bit, my friend.
Oh, I apologize.
We're celebrating so many birthdays, though, today.
I know, we've got a long list today. We are celebrating Alicia Norton of Girard, and she's getting a special happy birthday from her 2 daughters.
All right, now we get to celebrate Laurie Graham in Pittsburgh. Laurie, this birthday, they called you out here. This is a happy birthday from your employees. So somebody's trying to create a little favor with the boss.
Yeah, we
but
see
Laurie,
what you
a very
did there, guys.
happy birthday to you.
We are wishing a happy anniversary to Caleb and Rachel Morgan of Carthage.
Celebrating 8 years there. Ken and Helen Kelly of Columbus, celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary. 55 glorious years. A very happy anniversary to you, Ken and Helen. We also have Bonnie Merritt celebrating a birthday today, McCune. Bill Wells celebrating a birthday yesterday officially, but it's all right. We can celebrate 2 days in a row. And Crestline. Ross Westervelt celebrating in Columbus, and Diane Evans turning 39 in Mound Valley. Now, here's Jalen Banks with a very important birthday announcement.
Excuse me.
You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. You can get special deals from local businesses as well. So go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club.
Morning News makes the transition to Fox 14. We're going to take you out to Joplin's Wildcat Glades. If you and the family are looking for something to do this summer, this park has it all, from walking trails to a river to plenty of recreation areas. Our very own Ty Parks taking us on a tour of the Wildcat Glades when we move over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m. Skywatch Storm Tracker showing us these showers and thunderstorms. Well, they were just showers, really. Most of it didn't even reach the ground. They are moving out. They did have some associated clouds with them, and there you can see some of those clouds trying to hide the sun as it comes up on this beautiful Tuesday morning. We're sitting at 64 degrees in the area, or in Joplin rather, and actually that's where we're sitting across the region. We're starting to warm up, still a couple of lower 60s. Take a look, Lamar, Pittsburgh at 62, but we're moving into the mid to upper 60s. Temperatures will continue to go up throughout the day, heading for a high about 84, 85 degrees. We're going to start to see those clouds move on out of here, and they're going to do so in rapid fashion, give us a nice sunny day. Cooling off this evening into the the lower 60s. Nice light east-northeast breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Future track, wanted to show you this real quick. See a high-pressure system out in New Mexico, and you see the nice arrows along that jet stream. That ridge is starting to build in. This is Thursday, 4 o'clock. You see those reds out in Kansas. That ridge is going to continue to build, and it's going to do 2 things. 1, it's going to warm us up, and 2, it's going to bring us showers and thunderstorm chances as we head into the holiday weekend. The good news is, even though it's going to get hot, a little bit rainy, the 4th of July, not looking like a complete washout. We'll be right back.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities say at least 3 people are dead after a train derailment in rural Missouri. Several cars on this Amtrak train flipped on their side after the train collided with a dump truck at a public crossing in Minden, about 100 miles northeast of Kansas City. Authorities say at least 50 people are hurt. An estimated 243 passengers were on board the train traveling from Los Angeles to Chicago. Authorities are on the scene, and Amtrak says it has also deployed resources. It looks like some of us will pay more for natural gas. The Missouri Public Service Commission has approved an agreement in a rate case filed by the Empire District Liberty Utilities Company. It means the average residential customer will pay about $1.50 more per month for natural gas. Liberty provides natural gas to 44,000 customers in Missouri, in 19 Missouri counties, including Vernon County. A new study shows gun deaths in Oklahoma have increased since a permitless carry law went into effect. The 2019 law allows people over the age of 21 to carry a gun without a permit or training. The newspaper The Oklahoman analyzed state medical examiner data and found the state recorded some of its deadliest months in history since the law took effect. In the decade before the permitless carry, only 10 months had 70 or more firearm deaths. From November 2019 until January, there were 10 months with more than 70 gun-related deaths. 6 Oklahomans have filed 2 federal lawsuits that challenge a state law intended to crack down on protesters. They also allege their civil rights were violated when they were arrested in Oklahoma City in 2020. The 6 say the anti-protest law is unconstitutionally broad and vague. The law passed in 2021 increases the penalties for blocking roadways and grants immunity to motorists who kill or injure rioters. The second lawsuit alleges that the constitutional rights of 5 of the 6 plaintiffs were violated when they were charged with inciting a riot following a confrontation with police. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
We've got a ridge of high pressure. It's going to be building in out to our west. You can see it there over New Mexico, and you see those reds in Kansas. That's warmer temperatures, and those warmer temperatures moving into our area. As we take a look at the 7-day forecast, you can see warming up by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's just going to start to be summer again. Unfortunately, that means the humidity is also going to increase, and with that comes a chance for showers and thunderstorms. Really ramps up Saturday and Sunday. We do have a chance for some isolated, wildly scattered thunderstorms on the 4th of July. But as I've been mentioning through the show, I've been looking at the information, and so far what it looks like, if everything holds, these showers and thunderstorms are going to take place early enough in the day and be so widely scattered that at least right now, it shouldn't be a complete washout for the 4th of July. Now, everyone knows weather in the 4 states can change like that, so definitely keep an eye on this forecast. Doug, Nick will have updates as we get closer, and we'll have a much better picture as to what's going to do on the 4th of July, but do be prepared for maybe a few scattered rain showers.
All right, sounds good. Sounds doable. Thank you, Chris. Coming up at noon, we're making all-star zucchini in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Your morning news continues on KOAM and CBS. Morning news next.
At CBS News, an exclusive interview, John Hinckley Jr. blames poor mental health for the 1981 assassination attempt on President Ronald Reagan. His apology to the nation.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, season 2 of the hit Hulu series Only Murders in the Building debuts today, and we've got a preview. Plus, we'll take a look at how some businesses are addressing the issue of abortion. Stick with us.